Can somebody respond? Is my audio clarity is good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It got completely disconnected. Just now I have reconnected this. Is my audio clarity is good now? Let me
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
let me check the participants. Let me check. Okay, now 58 students are there. Okay, fine. So as I said, there is a networking issue here. So let me again go back to the slide. Slide is visible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me again re-summarize the 3 points. First point is you write the ADT class, which is the class template with the same syntax as we have used in function template. Only thing is wherever there is a generic data type, you substitute that there with the T. Now, second rule is the same T you continue in the implementations of the procedures. Okay, and the third rule is when you are when you are writing the procedures in detail, you need to dynamically cast it by using less than, greater than, and T. This syntax is necessary. So these are the three rules. So with this, now let us go back to a problem and then let us try to solve it. Okay, so am I audible? Can somebody acknowledge? Can somebody
Yes,
acknowledge?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you are okay, fine. Now let us go back to the problem, which is now let me go to the full screen mode. Okay, so assume that this is your requirement. Your requirement is you are asked to devise a C++ STL ADT class whose name is sample and perform the following. So what you are asked to do, there are 4 tasks. First one, you create.
Sir, slide is not visible.
Sir, we can't see PPT, sir.
Can
Screen sharing
somebody?
might be off.
Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah, that is correct. Screen sharing is not there. So let me start sharing again. Is it visible?
No, sir. No, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Now it is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So please go through the problem definition once. You are asked to implement a STL ADT class whose STL class name is sample and perform the following 4 things. You are asked to create 2 objects, create an integer object and create a floating point data sample objects. Now notice that here the data type of inner class is different. Okay, so one object has to tackle the integers and another object has to tackle the floating point. And second requirement is using the appropriate mutators, you initialize n integer samples and m floating point samples. So that means let us consider this as a sample class with n integer static array and m floating point static array. Now the third requirement is you ask to find the average of the samples which are collected in each objects. Okay, and also the fourth one is you perform some sort of sorting, that is selection sort. Okay, so is the problem requirement is clear? Am I audible? Am I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me start sharing the web page, and then I'll start implementing the C++ class edit. C++ class edit, which is a template class. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the syntax? The first is template class T, template class T, and then class. Let us say the class name is sample. Can somebody acknowledge? Is it visible and am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So private. So clearly this is the problem with static arrays with runtime. Not at runtime. Sorry, static arrays with the two data elements. One is integer and another one is floating point. So T is a generic array. T is a generic array. Yeah. I'm switching between the two windows. Are you in a position to see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so T is the data type. Then let us say our array is A of, let us say, max. Okay, so I'll write hash define max, probably 100 entities. Okay, now next is what? Next is I need to maintain the average and I need to sort it. Anything else? Anything else? Appropriate mutators and then find the average. That's it. So I need to return the average. So whether it is integer or whether it is floating point, average is always is a floating point, isn't it? So therefore, I am explicit
Yes, sir.
second variable which is average as a floating point data type. Here, now
Yes, sir.
function. So let us write the constructor first. Now I'm writing a ADT implementation of the C++ class. Let us say I want to set values. Now in this, I also need to know what is the size of the array. That is, let us say int n. Okay. So set values of void, and then this returns me void. And let me write the destructor sample of void, and I need to find the average. So get average of void. So this fellow will return me the floating point. And let me keep this destructor at the down. Then there is another requirement. I think there is another requirement. What is that requirement? Create
Selection sort.
which one? Average and then
Sort. Select.
yeah, selection sort. So let us write void, then do cell sort of void. Okay. Now this is my ADT class definition. This completes the ADT class definition. ADT class. Okay. Next is what? I have to write the procedures. So for every time, as I said, you have to attach it to a template. So template class T. Okay, so what are you writing now? You are writing the constructor. So sample, again cast it with the T, scope resolution, sample of void. In this whatever could be the data type of T for A, all the entries, let us make it as 0. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than max, I plus plus, I need to make A of I as 0. Also I need to make average as 0.00, then n as 0. This is how we write the constructor. Now next is what? First constructor is completed. Now let us start writing the mutator. So it is returning void, but before that you need to attach. That means template class T, and return type is void. It is in sample. cast it to T, scope, set values, void. Now, as a part of mutator, what is the first thing that you have to ask? Enter n now. Now C in n is entered. Next, for I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I needs to be defined. So int plus. Now in this, you need to ask C out, enter A of I, and then C in A of I. This could be integer or this could be floating point in our example. Now once this is done, let me make explicitly average as 0.00 only. So because we have get average another function, average another function is there. Then you also need to do the selection sort. Okay. So this completes the mutator. N is entered, data set is entered. Okay. So let us also use the accessor in order to display the values. So that is void get values of void. Okay, so let me use the same sort of syntax in order to write the accessor. So what has to be written? It is now get values. Can somebody acknowledge is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, C out. Now the value of n is equal to n. Now for again int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus. In this C out A of I with a tab space. Here let me put it in next slide. Okay. Okay, so what are pending now? Next is finding the average and performing the sorting. Sorting, let me do it at the end. So I just comment this fellow. Let us find the average. So it is again template class T. It has to return float. Is in sample. Cast it to T. Scope. Find what is it? Get average of void. So in this you need to get answer. No, you already have average. Average is already 0, isn't it? So what has to be done? For int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Average is equal to average plus A of I. So this will be your sum. So average is equal to average divided by n. Is that correct? Finally, you need to return average. Can somebody acknowledge?
Sir, but average is a member.
Average is a member, that is correct. I'm updating
So
itself directly. I am returning average. Okay. Yes, any doubts? You want to use another answer variable, you can use. I'm using the same member in order to find the addition and then update the addition with the average.
sir, there is no need to return data type in this function, no, sir. We can put it as void.
Fine, but let me return the average to the main. Assume that main want average. Assume that
Yes, sir.
main wants average. So I'm intentionally, my intention is it is also possible to write a C++ class template with a specific return type that is void, or sorry, float. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let us write the destructor at the end. So this is class E float. No, destructor is sample tilde of T, scope of sample void. So I just say that I am in destructor. Okay. So except the sorting, I think we have done the entire implementation. Just go through this. Let me go through this from the top. Maximum ceiling of 100 array, and then this is the STL class attachment. Then this is the members. These are the members. In that T is the generic array, static array with average and with n number of samples, and mutator with an accessor with the average finding member function, and with a constructor and destructor, and its equivalent complete procedure definitions. Okay, now let us start creating the objects. Shall I proceed? Any doubts? Any doubts? Can somebody?
No, sir.
Okay. So let us assume
No, sir.
simple S1. S1 is a object. Now here you need to explicitly say that S1 is talking about objects of which data type. You can't define an object of a generic data type at runtime. So you have to mandatorily write that S1 is an object which is casted with integer data type. So this is very important. This is called dynamic casting. You are saying that S1 will hold integers. Okay. So this is the special syntax that needs to be followed for invoking an object which is of type class template. Right. Next, shall I proceed? Shall I proceed? Anybody please?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So S1 dot first is what? S1 dot set values. So S1 dot set values. So this fellow will ask how many number of n elements you want. Let us go to set values. Yeah. What is n for S1? Assume that n is equal to 5. You are entering a of I and you are keeping your average as 0. Then you are coming out. Okay. Now after this, you are using get average. You need to find the average of your entered samples. So let us print saying that backslash n, the average of S1 samples is equal to, okay, so S1 dot get average of, this fellow will return me the floating point. Okay, so now this completes the data type of integers to maintain some n integer samples with array being created at compilation time. Okay, so let us compile this. Shall I proceed? Anybody has any doubts? I think let us also display this.
Sir, what if
Yes, somebody is asking some doubt.
what if, more than one generic data type? We only
More
declared
than
one int, no, sir.
as we have already discussed, more than one generic data type also can be addressed by using C++ templates as well. Don't let at this point. So if there is an explicit need of dealing multiple generic data types, you can use template class T1 comma class T2 as I have narrated function templates.
No,
Okay.
sir. The point of casting, sir, in main.
Mm. If you want to cast two data types,
How to write that?
how to write means int comma float, but your STL
Okay, sir.
two data types. Okay. So casting the two
Yes.
data
Okay, sir.
types is not there in the
Sir, your
syllabus.
voice
Uh,
Okay,
yeah,
sir.
is my voice is audible? Other students, please switch off the microphone. Please mute it.
Sir,
Somebody's
your
microphone.
voice is good.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. Somebody's microphone is on. Somebody's microphone is on. Now, is my voice is audible now? Can somebody respond? Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. But it is breaking.
Yeah. How about now? Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So shall I proceed?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So S1's data samples. S1's data I'm displaying here, saying that it is S1 dot S1 dot what?
Get values.
S1 dot get values. Yeah, that is correct. So now let us compile this. If we compile line number 61, invalid. Okay, line number 61, there is a mistake.
Sir, after scope, you need to put that note in destructor.
Destructor, yeah, that is correct. After scope, I have to keep this fellow. Okay, so let us enter the value of n as 5. So let us enter 20, 10, 30, 50, and then 40. So average is 30, and this is how it has been completed. Okay. Now let us go back to the same program, and let me now start creating the object S2 with floating point. Meaning now sample float, say S2. So this is where I am saying that S2 is going to point floating point data type. Okay, so now again I'll say S2 dot set values. So this n and that n they are different, and all this till here I will copy. So here this is S2's data. Now notice that S2 is now internally casted at runtime to floating point. So here S2 dot get values, n is integer, but values are all floating point. So average of S2, this will again get you the average of S2. Okay. Now let us compile this. Am I audible? Can I proceed? Can somebody acknowledge?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let
Yes,
me
sir.
compile this. Let me compile this. So let me take 5 integers with probably 30, then 20, then 50, then 10, then 40. Got the average. Is the average is correct? Hope it is correct. Okay. Now next, let me take some 3 samples. N is equal to 3. I am entering 1.4, 1.5, and 2.3. Average is 1.7333. Okay. So this is how the demonstration of C++ class template can be. Let us do the sorting of those objects which are casted at runtime. Pending, that is selection sort. Let us uncomment this. So I need to write just above the destructor the sorting logic. This is again template class T. Now again, what is that? It is returning void. It is defined in sample. Sample, cast it to T, scope, do cell sort of void. So what is that I have to do? Selection sort. So I'll directly do the sorting. That means for int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Next, again for int j is equal to plus 1, j is less than n, j plus plus. Now let me put it in ascending. So if a of I is less than a of j, then t data type as temp. Can somebody respond? Are you connected?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So temp is equal to a of I, then a of I is equal to a of j, then a of j is 10. So sorting is also completed. Now let us compile this. I'm taking some, okay, five samples. Let me take the integers, maybe 4, 2, 3, 1, 9. Average is 3.8. So I think did I call this do cell sort in main? I think we have not called, isn't it?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Let us stop this and let me go back. I think it is already 11. Okay. So let me, after finding the, oh, I'm sorry, finding the average, I'll write sorting of S1 dot do cell sort, again print S1 dot somebody's microphone is on. Yeah. So next, somebody's microphone is on. Some kids are playing near to some of you. Just check. Sort S2, then again S2. Okay. Now let us compile this. Is my voice is audible? Can somebody acknowledge?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, some students' microphone is on. Please check it out. Yeah, N is 5, then enter 1. How do I mute all participants? And it's okay. So N is equal to 5, 1, 2, then maybe 5, and then 9, 7. I have entered the samples of integers, and this is the sampled data, and this is the average. Let me take floating point, probably 4 numbers with 4.2, then 1.7, then 5.9, and then 2.9. Okay, so this is the average of S2 is 3.675. Now with n is equal to 5, this is sorted in sorted order, descending order. Then again floating point data samples also in sorted descending. Okay. So notice that this categories of questions are extremely important, which is quite commonly asked in external exams. So this is how you have to write a C++ generic class. Here, anybody has any doubts? Somebody come in.
Sir,
Hmm.
what is the syntax for writing a friend function, sir? Using generic data type.
Syntax for writing the friend function you can further explore. You have to use the keyword friend, okay, and you don't have a scope resolution operator because friend cannot be binded. If at all there is a need to write a friend, the better approach inside the class definition itself, you write the logic of friend, okay,
Yes, sir.
because the coder don't have to bother about attaching the friend code also as one of the extended module of generic programming to STL. So that can be skipped by writing the friend function definition inside the class itself. Okay, so let me take up the last example. Only thing is the same program with runtime. Now we have created the arrays at compilation time. Okay, so I hope this slide is visible. I am again
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I am again reiterating the same example. The only change is using the appropriate mutators, you initialize n integer samples and m floating point samples at runtime. Okay, so that means you cannot take max. Shall I proceed? Somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll take a copy of this. Let me take a copy of this and then let me copy that into a notepad so that I can send the program after the class. This is P1. I'm just saving it. Yeah, I have saved it. So let me minimize this. Now let me open the IDE. Now I'm directly changing this code. So is the editor is visible? So now there is no max. I'm assuming the editor is visible. Somebody respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now it is T star A now. Okay. So now there is no max, meaning as a part of the constructor code. As a part of default constructor, A is pointing to nobody. The average is 0.00 and n is 0. Okay. So as a part of set values, n is being entered. Now you have to allocate memory. Memory to whom? Memory to A. A is what? New. What type? T type. Isn't it? T type. How many elements? N elements.
Yes, sir.
N elements. Okay. So once this is done, so if I'll write a statement saying that if null is equal to A, that means there is no RAM. So I'll write cout there is no RAM. Okay, so this is a mutator, so I'll simply return semicolon. Okay, so I'll not proceed further. I'm just avoiding exit. So otherwise, you will come to for loop and then you will be iterating it for n times, and you will be accumulating the logic of accepting n integer entities, and you are initializing the average as 0. Now next, get values. Get values you don't have to change. Same thing. Next, get average. Get average also you don't have to change. It is the same thing. Now cell sort is also the same thing. Cell sort, selection sort is also the same thing. Only the destructor you need to release. That means delete of A. Okay, so now here sample, yeah, this is integer sample. Can somebody respond? Is my audio is clear? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, as a part of S1 dot get values, you are constructing the memory at runtime, and S1 internally has what data type? Integers. How many data type? N. Who is giving N? User. When he is giving N? Runtime. So at what time you are creating memory at runtime, and then you are getting the average. And similarly, what is S2? S2 is another object. What data type? Floating point. The same story repeats. And finally, once the program terminates, the memory will be disallocated. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, so let us compile.
No, sir.
Let us compile this. Oh, there are some, maybe some capital N I have written. Roll line number 36. Yeah, I have written capital N. This again. So let me create maybe four now, four integers with 7, 9, 400, 256. Okay, so that is the average. Next, let me take another 5 samples with 1.2, 3.5, 7. No, 2.8, 7.9, and 5.6. Okay, so this is how you can also write a C++ class template such that the objects are holding the values and n number of elements can be created at runtime. Okay, so is the concept is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with this we are done with both the class templates as well as the function templates. Okay, so in the next class we will start a very important topic, which is data structures. I thought of taking up in today's class itself, but yeah, I think the time is. There are some topics which are still left out. One is, what is a before I proceed further, did you understood how to write class template and function template? Yeah, before I forget, let me copy this program. Otherwise, uh, I mean, this will serve as a good reference for you. Let me save this. Yeah, saved it. I will send that in a notepad. Both these programs, both the programs which are pertaining to C++ class template. Okay, so anybody has any doubts? Notice that in class templates, only with one generic data type is there in the syllabus. So don't worry about writing the class with multiple generic data types. Okay. And yes, can somebody respond?
Yeah.
Are you following?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Oh, okay, fine. So our next topic will be on data structures. There is another topic which is pending, which I thought of telling. One is how to invoke the parameterized constructor of the base class by using an object of the derived class. Sorry, I got a call. I think it will be getting disconnected. Is my voice is audible?
Yes.
Can somebody respond?
Yes, sir.
Is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is the implementations of are writing the C++ function templates and class templates now, are you comfortable in coding by your own?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
these examples which we have discussed in last 2 or 3 classes, all of you start executing these in the systems first, then write it in the record and go through the index sheet of the programs list which I have already given, and start implementing the C++ function templates as well as class templates. So I'll sign off now, and in the next class hopefully I'll expect the Wi-Fi to be up. So otherwise we'll continue with this 4G, and we will meet again with a very important topic of data structures. Okay, so there is a small topic which is still pending. So can I
Yes, sir.
10 minutes? Can I take 10 minutes now to explain that topic? If I'm audible, I'll proceed.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
the
sir.
concept which is pending is how to invoke the base class constructor by passing the arguments to a derived class object. Please start writing. How to invoke in public inheritance, how to invoke the base class constructor by creating an object of a derived class, by creating an object of a derived class. Okay, so for this topic, I'll take one simple example. Directly, I'll start coding it. You will understand what I'm doing, and then if you have any doubts, you can interrupt me. Okay. So I'm going to delete this entire program. Did I copy this? Can somebody respond? Did I copy this? I copied it. I have copied it.
Yes.
Yeah, I have copied. So till main, I don't need anything. So I'm just deleting it. Okay, so assume that you have a class A. Assume that you have a class A with a protected data member. Let us say int A, maybe int X. Okay. Now under public, so under public access specifier, assume that I have a constructor with the default value of int X is equal to 0. Let me take int A. Now this is a parameterized constructor. This is default parameterized constructor, default default plus parameterized constructor. Okay, so here I am writing X is equal to A. So meaning if I define, let us say A1, what is A1? A1 is an object. Now A1, am I passing any parameters? No. So the value of X of A, the value of X of A is 0. Yes or no? On the other hand, if I pass, let us say A1 of 5, the value of X of A1 is 5. Yes or no? And somebody,
Yes, sir.
now this is a class, so there must be a semicolon. Okay, so let us assume you have created an object A1. Now in inheritance, I don't need an object of a base class. Now let us assume A is a base class. Now I am creating a second class B. second class B, which is publicly inherited, from A, okay, and with the protected member function, I can make it as private because I don't have extended children's. So private, let me take int y. Now under public, now please observe here, my requirement is, see, x is accessible in B, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Both x and y be accessible. Now under public member function, if I write the constructor of B, that means in main, if I write B1, let us say 5 comma 9. What is my intention? My intention is B1 I want to create with x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 9. Okay. So how do you write a constructor with int, let us say p is equal to 0 and again int q is equal to 0, which are defaults. There is a single colon. You invoke a with the first argument p and the second argument, which is q, will be y. Y will be p. Now observe what is happening here. What is happening here? You are invoking B1. Inside B1 there are two values 5 and 9. So this 5 and 9 are now passed to the parameterized constructor aliased by P and Q. Can somebody come in? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
now
sir.
here P is equal to 5 and Q is equal to 9. Now in this is the method. This is the method, line number 20. This is the method of invoking. This is the syntax for invoking the base class constructor. Base class constructor with the derived class object. Okay. So this fellow a of p is a function call. Now a of p means here. Now this a will be aliased by p. Now a will be 5. Now x will be 5. And then inside the function y will be q. Y has to be q. Isn't it? So y will be 9. So what I'll do is I'll simply display here. I'll say void display of, let us say, void. Inside this I'll display cout, let us say x and y is equal to x, and then y is equal to y. Let me compile this. Now this has to return 1. So let me compile this with b1 dot display. Okay. Did you understood what I'm doing? This is the concept of creating a derived class parameterized object, wherein we have looked in the syntax of writing the base class constructor to be invoked, wherein we have written the syntax of invoking the base class constructor because of derived class parameterized constructor. So this concept is called as explicit base class constructor calling. Let me repeat. when a derived class object is trying to be invoked with the parameterized constructor concept, then it in turns looks or invokes its base class constructor, which is by default is a default constructor with void, or it can be a base class parameterized constructor with the default list of arguments. Okay, so let us compile this. So we have to get the values as 5 and 9. Okay, so x is 5 and y is 9. Also notice, if I define an object, let us say b2 of, let us say, 20. Now, will I get any error? Will I get any error? The intention is,
No, sir.
the intention is I want to create b2 with x is equal to 20 and y will be by default will become 0. Okay, so let us call b2 dot
Yes, sir.
display. If you call b2 dot display, you will get 20 0. That means, so maybe I'll keep a backslash t here, 20 and then 0. Okay, so let us compile this. 20 and then 0. What about the first one? Why is, yeah, it is coming 5 and 9 and 20 and 0. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let me create b3 with no with no parameters at all. Now will it cause any error? Because you have not written default constructor. Now your intention is, did you wrote the default constructor? No. But you have written the constructor with the parameters with the default initializers. Isn't it? So here x will be 0
Yes, sir.
and y will be 0. Now will it cause any error? Because as you can clearly see that there is no default constructor in the derived class as well as in the base class with the default. See this, here you have parameterized constructor. Here also you have a parameterized constructor only. There is no default constructor. Will you get an error? Yes or no?
No errors.
Will you get an error, or will your program will get compiled?
It will compile.
Yeah, it will be compiled. Okay.
Not displaying fee.
I think I have not defined b3 dot display. So let us display b3 dot display off. Okay, so now let us run this. Okay. So this is a very important concept wherein it demonstrates how to invoke the base class parameterized constructor with the default list of initializers by invoking an object of a derived class with the appropriate list of arguments at the time of creating an object. Have you understood? Have you
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so with this, we are done with 4.6 units of your syllabus. Okay, so the left out topics are data structures, which is extremely important. That I'll take up in the next class. So there was a problem from my side. There is a Wi-Fi connectivity issue here, so that's the reason why there were some hassles during this class. And in between, somebody has tried to call me. So because of that reason, there was a disconnection which has happened between you and me, because the phone is the only source of communication medium which is available right now with me. Okay, so hopefully by next class when we will meet, my Wi-Fi will be up. I'll make ensure that Wi-Fi is up, and we will start the important concept of data structures. And I'm also getting a feel that all the students, are you able to listen? Can you able to listen? Am
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah, I'm also getting a feel that
Yes, sir.
yeah. I'm just making a comment. I'm also getting a feel that some of the students have just joined for namesake, maybe probably for the attendance sake, and they are just leaving the system. So the the I hope what I'm trying to tell you have understood. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
I request all the students to be caution in terms of productive utilization of the time, because please remember, officially this is these are the official lectures which we are disseminating to the entire class, which will not be repeated again by considering majority of the students concern. Okay, so please do participate with real interest, and try to make use of productive use of the time. Okay, so let me sign off, and then we will meet in the next class, which is scheduled tomorrow, I think.
Yes, sir.